Hey, today I'm talking about 3 films of Lucy Liu's from the 2000s. And the names of those 3 movies are Charlie's Angels, Cypher, and Rise, Blood Hunter. What the stuff is Charlie's Angels. This is a 2000 film starring a ton of actors that you know, but the main ones are Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, and Cameron Diaz. And the basic premise is this is based off of a show from the 70s, and the broad premise is trio of spies who do kind of mercenary work, I guess. In particular, they get hired here to investigate this company, so they do that, but maybe there's a bit more to what's going on. Anyway, so I kind of went in with like low-ish expectations, but I'm like, maybe it's gonna be kind of amazing. And if you accept the movie for what it is, which is a very sexualized, ridiculous movie that's just trying to have fun, that's what this is. It doesn't have a lot of character stuff. It doesn't really have character arcs. There's a little bit of something, but not really. There's a lot of like gratuitous butt shots and stuff. But like, it's not trying to be Oppenheimer. It's not trying to be Shakespeare. It's just trying to be a good, fun, silly time. And this was a good, fun, silly time. I do think they established who each of the angels are. I do think they could have added more to like giving them more agency and more things to do, because like they each have a little story arc with a boy, and I do think those are interesting, but they easily could have expanded upon it. I do feel like there is definitely like dialogue and stuff missing, which the script was rewritten ad nauseum, so I wouldn't be surprised if the script just was almost unintelligible at times. So they probably saved this movie in the edit, and in order to do that they had to remove a lot of dialogue, which removed a lot of character stuff. And that's fine, because it worked. I think they did a good job with it. Like, the action's great. Each of the angels gets a time to be the hot, sexy one, but they also each get the time to be the comic relief, and they each get the time to be the one doing the cool, badass, either like fight stuff or spy stuff. Like, they all each get their time to shine. So yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed this movie. I would cautiously recommend it just because it is a lot of like sexualizing women, and like if it's gonna grind you like sandpaper, yeah, don't go into this movie. Like, there is a lot of charm there, but I don't think it's enough to get past that if you think it's going to be an issue. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it, would recommend it, a little cautiously though. Next up is Cypher. This is a 2002 film written and directed by the guy who did Cube. It does feel a lot like Cube because you can definitely see the small budget of this film, but they make the most use of it, and I don't know, they have a lot of interesting ideas, and it just, a lot of this really works. The basic premise is there's this schlub of a guy who just wants a little excitement in his life, and maybe he's applying for a job at this company that's a little kind of spy espionage-esque. Who knows? But there's more than meets the eye. So the film's really just a mystery. It starts off, the acting is very, very wooden. That's intentional though, because it's trying to establish just like the loserness of this guy. Though it is still kind of difficult to get through at times. Like, I was like, oh no, I might have to shut this off. But then I just got wrapped up in like, what is the mystery? I do want to know what's going to happen next. What are the answers to this mystery? And I will add to there that the answers that we get, I think for the most part, are pretty good. There's definitely some that do fall a little flat, but I think on the whole I was happy with where the story took us in regards to the mystery. In particular, the last one. I think the last one really struck a chord with me and firmly planted this movie in the quite like section. So it's basically a 4 out of 5 for me. I do think it is possible to see the ending coming, but I didn't, and it really tickled my fancy. I kind of thought the movie was essentially done by that point because it seemed more or less straightforward where things were going, and then they're like, nope, we got one more thing for ya. And I'm like, nice. Like, I legitimately was like, wait, what? That was so good. My biggest issue with this movie is that it's kind of boring at times, which really sucks because it's interesting, but it's also boring. And I think what would have really helped this movie is just kind of tightening it up a little bit, just like making the pacing go just a little bit faster. That, or it does kind of end with a little bit of action-y stuff. And I think had they like sprinkled in just like a little bit more action throughout, that could have really helped things. Because just like, you know, having a nice intense moment and then all the slow stuff that follows doesn't feel as slow because we're coming down off the high of the intense action stuff. And who knows, there could have actually been more action in the original script, but just because of like the budget, they had to remove it. I could easily see that as a possibility. So yeah, would I recommend this one? Yes, but again, a little cautiously, but for a different reason this time, just because it's kind of boring. I could easily see someone turning this movie off pretty quickly because it's just like, doesn't hit you quite right. So just be kind of mindful of the not great acting in the beginning, though it was intentional, and the boringness that is part of the film. And if you can handle that stuff, then I think it's definitely going to be a worthwhile experience. And lastly is Rise, Blood Hunter. This is a 2007 film. Lucy Liu is definitely the lead of this one, which is great because she also has the best hair in this one. Though the movie itself, oh man, it is. Okay, so the basic premise is this is a movie about vampires, but they're too embarrassed to admit that the movie's about vampires. So it's about a cult. That's not where the issue is though with the movie. I think the premise is fine, kind of reframing vampires as more of a culty thing definitely can work. I think some of the lore stuff that they have in here is fine, is interesting enough. The big issue with this movie is that for some reason it's not chronological, but it's also not clear how things are supposed to fit together. For instance, the first section of the movie is about Lucy Liu going to a bar to pick up a prostitute to then bring back to this mansion where there's this old man that, spoilers, is a vampire and he's gonna feed on this prostitute, but turns out Lucy Liu's actually just trying to get an address out of this guy, and after she gets the address she kills him, and that's the end of that, whatever. But like, it's not even remotely clear where this fits in, because like, it's not established how Lucy Liu became this guy's servant, or why he trusted her with this, or why this is the way she decided to kill this guy, or even what that address is. I don't know what that address is. It maybe came back up. Maybe that's the address for the end of the film. I don't know. It's like a horse farm thing at the end. Anyway, what also didn't help this movie is that it's too long, though part of that's on me because I unintentionally watched the extended edition that's about 30 minutes longer, and that was definitely a mistake. I didn't shut this movie off though, just because I did like Lucy Liu. She did keep my attention, which, I mean, she's attractive, but like, she was doing her best with this. And I think she was working. It's just like the movie was trying its hardest to be like, you're not gonna enjoy this. It's also really horny, and that was annoying at times, but whatever. Anyway, so I think the way to fix this movie would be with a fan edit to reorder the movie into chronological. It does not need to be so incredibly mixed up. So the only way I'd recommend watching it is if that fan edit were to exist. I don't know if it does. Otherwise though, I don't recommend it. It's just a confusing mess. So if you are a person that is a big fan of this movie, please feel free to explain the plot to me. I would love that. I mean, I do feel like I got what happened, but like, if you can make it make more sense, I'm not gonna say no to that. So yes, I did not like this movie and I would not recommend it. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Charlie's Angels sitting at number 21 in the really like section. And then after that is Cypher sitting at number 30 in the quite like section. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is Rise, Blood Hunter, sitting at number 54 in the didn't like section. And this is out of a total of 57 old movies so far this year.